Hi, this is Amber Horvath recording for Quad Squad Final Project Report. For our pipeline, we do text pre-processing and then move into question generation and answer generation. We then rank our questions. For our question pipelining, we begin with pre-processing, where we do co-reference resolution using neural co-ref. We then do constituency parsing to create sentence trees and then sentence separation. For question generation, we started with binary questions, which then helped create some of our WH questions, and then we did question post-processing, where we removed extra content. For ranking, we ranked based off length of question and type of question. For our binary questions, we handled two different cases, when a helper verb exists and when it does not. In the case where the helper verb exists, we swap the helper verb and the proper noun in the sentence in order to create a question. And in a case where there's no helper verb, we check the tense of the sentence or the verb in the sentence and whether or not there's a plural in order to choose whether to use do, did, or does. For our who questions, we look for an NER tag, and then we remove the NER tagged word from the sentence and then add who to the start of the sentence. For what, we do essentially the same process, but instead we look for the absence of an NER tag. In the case of whom, we check for the word labels in and to in the tree, then check if there are NER tags with person or organization following this. We then remove the words with the NER tags and the part of speech tags in or to, create a binary sentence with the remaining sentence, and add the word with the required POS tag and whom at the start of the sentence. In the case of when, we follow a similar structure where we look for in or to, and then check if there's an NER tag for date. We then remove words, create a binary question, and add when to the start of the question. For where, we follow the exact same approach, except we look for the NER tag's location or GPE. In the case of which, we look for a determiner, check if the following word is not an adjective, remove the if there is an adjective, we check the following word to see if it's a noun. We then remove the required word with the determiner and adjective and add which. For how many, we do essentially the same approach, except looking for cardinal numbers. In the case of how, we look for adverbs that are not in the list on the screen, remove the adverb from the tree and create a binary question, then add how at the front of the binary question. For why, we look for a preposition, and if there's a word because, remove the part of the tree following the word because, create a binary question, add the word why at the front. To rank, we ranked based off the length, favoring questions that were from 4 to 20 words, then favoring shorter questions, then longer questions. We then ranked based on the question type, preferring questions that did not use NER tags. For our answer pipeline, we detect the type of the question, use cosine similarity for finding candidate sentences in the article, use the text of the return sentence for generating the answer, then generate answers based on question type. To detect the question type, we check for the occurrence of a WH word in the question. In cases where no WH word appears, we assume that it is a binary question. For answering binary questions, we essentially count how many negations there are in both the question and the match sentence. We check for both negation words and antonyms. We then compute the negation count, and if it is even, then the answer is yes, or else it is no. An example can be shown at the bottom. For answering who questions, we create a constituency parse tree from our return sentence from the cosine similarity. We then generate synonyms and antonyms for the words in the question. If any synonym is found in the answer sentence, the word is replaced by the one in the question. If any antonym is found in the sentence, not is applied after the helper verb. We then recurse through the tree in order to find NNP or NNPS tagged in the noun phrase. For a sentence with commas, we first split into smaller fragments and run our cosine similarity to get the most relevant fragment. Here you can see an example where we select the word ash tagged as an NNP. We use the same strategy for other WH questions, where what questions require us to check the common noun tag, and whom questions check the NNP or NNPS tags. When and where require us to use NER tags, where when questions we look for date or time, and where questions we look for LOC or GPE. In cases where our system could not determine the correct part of the sentence to return as an answer, the whole sentence with the highest cosine similarity of the question was returned. Here you can see some of our results. We had some successful binary and 2 question and answer pairs, and here we have some mildly less successful pairs. In conclusion, our system performed reasonably well on binary questions and other questions in which NER tags were not used, but in the cases where NER tags were required, we had less success. The system also relies on the quality of coreference resolution. Thank you.